Okay, many thanks for the invitation, and let's get into the topic. What is temporary appropriation? Well, temporary appropriation is the temporary act in which people use public spaces to carry out individual or collective activities other than the purpose of the space was originally designed for. There could be many examples, but we have came with three main groups of that. In these pictures, we can see some of the examples. For example, in the picture in the left, we can see in Palermo, Italy, a bunch of guys watching a football match. So then the street becomes a cinema for a short period of time. In the next photo in the right, we can see how a woman is cooking in the middle of a street in Mexico City. Thanks to the phone cabins, it becomes a sort of kitchen over there. Or in the next photo in the right, we can see an altar. And I mean, in Mexico is a Catholic country, so you can still see these altars as a way of mark the territory somehow. And in the last photo, we can see in New York how the space has been appropriated as a place of remembrance, as someone who died cycling. I am also a triathlete, so I am very familiar with cycling too. So I work in Yucatan, in Mérida, but we are moving to Campeche, and that is a state in front of the Gulf of Mexico. Just to give you a rough idea about Mexico, Mexico is, in terms of territory, is 7 times bigger than Italy. And in terms of the population, is just the twice. So there is a extended country in that sense. After COVID, we had 12 million of unemployed people between formal and informal jobs. So that is a lot, I just want to give you the context of this. I went to Campeche because my father tested positive for COVID. So I traveled to Mérida, to Campeche to take care of him and my mother. And he is now fine, and he doesn't have any consequences, which I'm pretty happy about it. But I can tell you from firsthand that it is an issue. So Campeche is a state about 900 inhabitants, and the capital city where my parents live, it has almost 200,000. Just to give you a rough idea, this is the city, is a heritage place, is the typical Spanish grid at the city center. It was a walled city, etc. And because of the COVID, the local market was not closed, but the access was restricted. And also many people is afraid still to go to buy groceries and that kind of stuff. Yes, you can buy online, but there are many people, like my parents, that they don't like that kind of stuff. Because they both know how to cook, they really prefer to go. So I went there just to check this out. And I stayed there around their house. The black dot where my cursor is the house of my parents. And the blue area is the area that I was, well, since I am a triathlete, I needed to train, and you can go and jog outside and cycling. So I choose this area because that area is the one that I could see. Before COVID, there were only 2 street vendors located in these points. Those are the blue dots. Those are the only 2. But after the lockdown, I noticed on the street that these start to appear. So I think is a conjunction of between the lockdown, people were not able to go to buy things, and also a lot of employment. So people start to do something, and temporary appropriation start to emerge. For example, in the picture, I took these photos with my mom. I was driving and she was taking the photos because she was scared to death because of the virus. And on the left hand side, we can see a woman selling oranges. Then in the next one, balloons or things like that. Then on the right photo, we can see people selling eggs and certain food, then fruits, furniture, even bread. So it's quite peculiar. And I decided to take photographs of all this stuff and also to map them. And I want to show you this. I think it's okay. Those are the points where the street vendors are located. I want to mention that this is not an organization. There is no a syndicate of street vendors. The government authorities haven't intervened on this. They are not doing anything regarding this. And I recognize that all of them, I mean, I want to point out how the city, somehow this socio-ecological landscape is self-regulated somehow. So we can see that there is a pattern, a radius of 200 meters from each of the street vendors. And it's quite peculiar. I always make this point with my team when we are doing research, that it is very interesting when you observe this type of pattern, that the citizens by themselves, without, I talked with some of them, and none of them have agreed to arrange this pattern within the city. And I think is peculiar and remarkable, this self-organization and regulation. So I just want to highlight that this aspect of self-regulation of the socio-ecological landscape from a totally bottom-up strategy, where this temporary appropriation emerged. And this factor that Graham already mentioned, that the city is for the citizens and they claim the space. And well, I think we need to look at those kind of phenomena if you want to pursue a human city. And thank you so much.